All right. So here we are. And I'm excited to introduce Nabil to you. Um, Obviously, he's a passionate Rotarian. Um, he has a variety of leadership roles at the Rotary level. He's been a club president, district governor, zone institute general chair, an international training leader, training support leader for 3 years, and he served as an international president's rep for 3 years. So he would have gone to three different district conferences. Um, Frequent speaker and a presenter at Rotary events around the world, and has been a champion of peace building and conflict resolution for more than 30 years. Nabil was recognized by RI in receiving the Donald McRae Peace Award for outstanding achievement and contribution to building peace and international cooperation. And also, he was awarded with the International Highest Honor Service Above Self Award. So, professionally, Nabil is an accomplished author, president, and founder of the Center for Conflict Resolution International and Upversa Inc. So, floor is yours,
Okay.
Nabil.
Who is this guy you're talking about?
Ah,
Oh, thank you for the introduction. It is an absolute pleasure being with you here this evening and spending some time with you and just talking about how you can find creative ways of getting along and dealing with differences. And I think um, I'm always uh, I like to start with this because people ask me always about to talk about how we can really build a strong, cohesive teams and groups and clubs together that they can function in a most effective way. And you know what I do? What I say to people, and I mean, it sounds cliche-ish, but I honestly believe in the four-way test. And I don't say it lightly. I don't really think many times we as Rotarians reflect a lot on that. You know, there is, and I'll just, if you just indulge me for a bit, just to kind of even the first one, you know, we have so much of stuff around us because here's the thing. Rotary is not in a vacuum. We're part of a larger context. Whatever is happening around us in general society impacts us. We are not like so different than everybody else. But one of the things that in Rotary we say, what is the first one? Do you know what the first one is? Yeah, somebody's on
Hmm.
mute. I think Moragua just simply said, is it the truth? I just saw it on my screen. So is it the truth? But do you know what though? So much of what perceive as opinions and and thoughts and perspectives are parading as truths. And I think sometimes we have to be very, very mindful. I've been, even especially lately, I'm finding myself walking around in meetings. Actually this morning at a Rotary meeting, and last night I was doing some work with clients, and I just said, constantly kept saying, in my opinion, I never used to do that as much because I want to emphasize it's not a fact. It's my perspective, it's my opinion, and your opinion may be different. And I think we need to be very mindful not to kind of sometimes confuse our opinions with the truth. It's a truth. And if you think about it, some of our challenges in at all levels in Rotary is when we confuse things. We confuse what's my opinion versus your opinion versus your truth and my truth. But the fact is, the truth is something is a really a challenge for us to look at. So I've always then of course we talk about, is it fair to all concerns? And I think it's if we want to find a way to get along, is it fair? And I think so many times, especially because we are a volunteer organization, um, we have we have strong opinions and we have strong commitments to what we do. And I think people are very, I honestly don't think so many of us do things out of malice, but out of just passion. I think should be done this way, and I'm going, but is it really fair? It may be fair to this group, but not that group. And when I say even group, we don't have to even talk the macro big stuff, even within the clubs. And always I say this, and this is something that I've always challenged people um, in within Rotary. It's like, how are the dynamics within our clubs? It's like we keep talking about we want to be welcoming, we want to be inclusive, we want to be this, we want to this, which is all wonderful and good. My question is, how do you act? So imagine me walking into your club or joining a club meeting. How would I feel? And not necessarily sometime. I mean, today in our club, we just said, you know what we're missing? Because we're meeting more in person, we're missing a greeter. Because in the past, we always had a greeter because of COVID and virtual stuff and all of this kind of went by the wayside. So you have few guests walking in and they're kind of wandering around and they're not feeling, because everybody goes sits in their own space, literally. I find in our club, people walk in and sit in their respective chairs. Like I'm going, how and guess who's one of them? Me. It's out of habit. Like I walk in and I have my seat and I'm thinking, are you for real? Then all these other people walk in and going, where am I supposed to sit? You know, so the idea though is always tell people like, are we genuinely welcoming? And sometimes welcoming in the sense, of course, we're nice people. Of course, we want to get people to engage us and all of this. But I think sometimes it's that sense of the welcome. And by and large, so when people come in to visit us and people come for whatever reason, even the speakers, how welcoming we are. And then how we interact with each other. And this is one of those things that, we talk about friendship and goodwill. How we relate to each other, it's very evident to many, many people. Are we not only towards them, but how we treat each other? Are we friendly toward each other? Are we respectful? Do we constantly roll our eyes or challenge? I've said in meetings when the president of a club is talking and somebody going like literally roll their eyes and going, really, and just thinking, just watch how you other people see you when you're reacting to somebody who's, in again, position of leadership or whatever you want to call it, kind of interacting. So for for us to ask, these are kind of things that we have to contend with. But the deeper issues as we go into this is to really take a look and see how do we deal with each other cross generations and in terms of different groupings, in terms of retired and non-retired people, in terms of looking at even, and this is one of those things, and I don't know about your club, but in so many clubs I walk in, everybody is enamored and they want to have young people in their clubs. And there's, by the way, maybe I'm getting ancient and old, and I'm all for it. But the idea sometimes when it goes to a level of this is Nabil opinion, not this is again opinion. I'm not saying when it goes to a point of like obsession, we need to have young people. If we don't have young people, we're not dynamic. And I'm going, our life expectancy these days is quite high. We're not done at 60. Like, who told you this? That somebody who's in their 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s are, and I'm being really real with you because sometimes I feel by emphasizing we need to have all all the not again, I'm not against young people. I love young people. I engage with them. I'm part of support bringing Rotaracts together all around the world and all of that. I'm just not negating that. But at that level, when you're trying to say to people, young, and I'm going, great, 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 great. But I know I joined Rotary when I was very young with like a toddler and a baby at home and a business starting. And really, I was not the best Rotarian. There's nothing wrong with it. I was good because life, I mean, I didn't have as much resources, I didn't have as much time, to give. And if and sometimes it takes a while for us to get seasoned and feel very much part of the club and not can contribute anything. But I think sometimes we start alienating people with unintentionally. And I think we have to kind of look at that and ask that question. How, and always I say this, it's not about tolerating each other, but I think sometimes I will talk about how we actually, he's my language, and it's how we actually engage and embrace one another and really kind of respect the experience of one another. So sometimes you walk in and there's really that whole kind of line between, generational line. And again, and I'm getting to the older group that kind of go sit in my seat and not move. And I sit beside somebody who's I like and I get along with, and we chat. And I'm thinking, what does it say about you with other people coming in? And even newer members who kind of look and go, oh, he's the, old cronies and old folkies sitting around and chatting with each other. And they feel like, they develop their own groups. And I think those are the kind of dynamics we have to start looking at. And they become bigger issues. I've been asked again and again to do different, um, for lack of a better term, interventions in club and districts and zones and throughout, actually all around. There's nothing, but some of the things that I really come back to is to remind ourselves collectively as Rotarians that we are volunteers. And I think it's very, very critical for us to keep reminding ourselves that we're volunteers. This is not a job. This is not, and as a volunteer, we need to respect people's time, space, perspectives, opinions, and there's a common things that bring us together, but we're unique individuals in our own rights. So the less judgment we pass, the less kind of quote unquote those, and even Rotary International has got away from lots of the old rules, thou shalt do this and thou shalt do that and shall do, there's we need to have common values, shared values with each other, and I think and have established a certain kind of respect, amongst us. And really, and the whole idea but this is one of the big things, to keep reminding ourselves we exist for what? We fundamentally exist for service. We don't exist. It's not really just about even, kind of being buddy with people and relationships. It's not just really a purely social club. It's actually a service club. And I think we need to come back again and again and again and again to this. I always tell people liking who you're with in a club is a privilege. It's not a right. Remember this. Liking somebody is a privilege. It's not a right. Because not everybody is somebody else's cup of tea. Some people are, they have their opinions. They're quite opinionated. They just like to speak their mind. Some people are very verbose. Some people are very quiet. And I think we always have to kind of weigh that with each other and just simply keep that in mind, that if you are a person who's committed and want to do a lot of things in Rotary, bless you. But not to dump this on other people who have maybe certain part of their life. Maybe they're taking care of a sick family member, or they're dealing with family issues, work issues and stuff, who cannot contribute as much as you do. So it doesn't become this whole judgment. And I see that even sometimes I get into that and I'm going, oh no, that Catherine woman, I don't know. I've not seen her for the last, month or so. How can she call herself a member of this club? And I'm going, just shut up. And if you care, call her and say, how you doing? What's going on? Don't say you haven't shown up to bed. Just show some concern if you really care about the person versus to start passing judgment. And then people say, I've had a sat in meeting and people said, yeah, that Brian guy, I have not seen him. I've not for a whole freaking month. And I think he's not taking this seriously. And we have all this stuff to do. Where the heck is he? I'm going, just have you called him? No. Well, shut up then. Sorry, my left. So I think it's really critical for us to, as we want to build this. And if we don't do that, then unfortunately you're going to be seeing people like me coming to visit you by invitation from either your it depends how big it is, even from your president or your governor or your international director or from Rotary International saying, oh, this is a big thing, you need to go and do this. And and I have to tell you with all honesty, I wish I could tell you, these are very heady, and a lot of it is about people and dynamics, and things got blown out of proportion to bigger and bigger and bigger things. But I think a lot of it is not, and I really do, coming back to what we need as Rotarian to come back to our foundations. Those kind of, the four pillars, for lack of a better term, that we need to have. It is about really fairness. It is about friendship. It is about finding ways to get along. It is about, speaking truth to power. But it's a lot of it too is about respect. But sometimes what we have to make sure is not to allow for our problems and challenges to grow. Because what happens in Rotary, in many cases, even the toughest cases, it we tend to kind of, if you ask the question, they'll say, what happened to so and so? Oh, they just left. Oh, they went. It's not they moved to another Rotary club, they just left Rotary. And I've always asked have you asked them why did they leave Rotary? Oh, I don't, they just were not happy here. And I'm going, I guarantee you, because they did not feel welcomed or engaged or respected or valued or whatever you want to say. And that's why they leave. And in North America, this is our biggest problem. We lose more Rotarians than we get in people. This is a truth. And it's not fun to say. It's not. And this is what they need to be. We need to be way more attention of how we treat each other and engage with each other, especially because we as a society are becoming a bit more polarized. I was involved with something not very recently, actually, that club members in more than one club, actually, in a district, these people have been friends for 30 plus years. And they let the politics of the day, the differences of the day, the rhetoric get into them. And they brought it to the club. And that is, with all due respect, in my mind, disaster number one. We always say, keep away from politics, keep away from religion, keep away from, not that they are not good things or things but in a Rotary setting, if you have a lunch with a friend or Rotarian friend of yours, you go out with them for lunch or coffee, we do what the heck you want. I don't really care. But if we start bringing these into our clubs and and then we start and it becomes a bigger and bigger problem. And I think we need to be very, very mindful of that. Because I want to talk to you about the kind of, what I call uh, the different types of issues that we have to be very, very mindful of. The first are, and this is something we have to be very mindful of and keep it at the door, is what I call systemic issues. We have general issues in society at large between different political group or religious group or culture, whatever it is, all these different things. And this is all the what I call the noise in the media and all of this. I think we have to be careful not to bring that into our clubs. I think it needs to be an intentional thing to do. And again, it doesn't mean you don't have your right to your opinion and all of that, but in a club life in Rotary, especially those things that divide us as groups and individuals and different people from different political stripes. And don't make the assumption, and this is the biggest thing. People make the assumption that since you're a Rotarian, you agree with me. I have had that so many times that I'm going, you don't even know me then, you know? And they assume that, of course, you do this. And I'm going, not really, But I think for us, just we need to set some level, I don't know how you want to call it, but I think a ground rules, for lack of a better term, to say that these issues are outside. We're not going to bring them to the life of the club, in how we interact with each other. And this is some of the clubs that had to come in and do interventions for are honestly missed that completely. And there was so much bickering and arguing with things that are not Rotary related at all. So why the heck you bring it in? And then but what from there what happened, people could develop camps and groups and my group versus your group, and then we have to have an intervention. And honestly, I mean, it was you walk in and I'm thinking, is this, they talk about, and I do talk sometimes. I said, this is behavior unbecoming a Rotarian, when you go on the attack and they are this and and counter attack with each other. And then you have newer people walk in going, this is like a freaking war zone. I don't want to be part of it. And they don't feel welcome. They don't feel like they want to be part of this. They're, thank you very much. I'm here to volunteer my time and give some resources and contribute to my community. And you guys are bickering and arguing about all kinds of stuff in the news. I don't want to be part of this. And people just walk out. So this is something to be very mindful of. The second part is what we call lots of the structural issues in our clubs, in our districts. And I think some of that has a lot to do with you have and if I offend somebody, I'm apologizing already. Do you know people who have positions for life in clubs, and it's so difficult to move them, even at district level. And it's like, and if you even try, they get offended. And I'm going, this is, all of us. And I say that, I mean, again, some people get upset. In a club, you chair a committee, you're part of something at the pleasure of the president. You know, as a district level, you serve as a committee at the pleasure of the governor. I don't say pleasure meaning you will have to be wonderful to them. But that each leader need to have their own team. But sometimes people feel like very much like, who's going to be running against me? Nobody can. Because I have been doing this job for a long time and I'm very committed and I'm going, but you still have to be elected again and again, and you need to allow people to run against you. And I mean allow. Some people get very offended and they get very, very upset. So we have a lot of these things that sometimes, you know, who get quote unquote get stuck in positions and you look at them, and I'm not exaggerating. I've had somebody last month, I've been in the same position for 23 years. And I'm going, what are the chances of anybody who would like to do this of coming and challenging you? And but the problem though is we get stuck in these things and no one dare challenge because you don't want to hurt their feelings and you don't want to but sometimes we need again talk about fairness. Is it fair to all concerned that somebody has because nobody wants the job. Well, have you asked? Have you actually built somebody? Have you supported somebody? Have you done it? It doesn't mean we shouldn't have people who have a longish term people who support and help things. But small clubs struggle with that sometimes because they can find somebody else. I understand that. But if you have a healthy growing club, I think part of it is we need to constantly looking at how are we running the place? who we have been asked before, who can we help build up. So, and especially those ones, I call them the kind of the quiet ones who are, we need to kind of bring into the fold. Some people are not as verbose as Nabil and not like in front. Hello, everybody, I'm here. They're very quiet, they're very committed, they're hard workers, but nobody looks at them. I'm not joking. Nobody reach out to them and say, and then I've always tell people we need to get to know each other. And one thing I cherish so much in the clubs I have been part of is when they have classifications, kind of talks, and to do it on a regular basis, not once in a blue moon, and have it rotating among club members, even and especially the retired ones, because they have so much experience and so much knowledge and so much wealth of things to bring and say, and they go, oh, I had no idea. I thought this Nabil is just, whatever. He goes play shuffleboard or whatever. But I think it's very, very key element to introduce the new members constantly. This is what I call structure, to get us more to start seeing, oh, this is who's here. This is the person. And even some people you may know, but for people to talk about their passions, their work, even I said, even they're tired, what have they done and what they're really interested in. I think that helps the club see the richness and the wealth of the members that they actually have. And I think that is very, very, very critical. And the third part, it's really something that I've started talking about, which is very much what I call the kind of relational aspect of our interactions with each other. Because I usually the reason I have always tell people connect with you not because of who you are and what you are, but how you make them feel. People connect with you because of how you make them feel. If a person feels respected, valued, cared for, they'll have a positive experience. They think of you. And I've always used to do that because I've been fortunate in my life. I had all these different positions and different influences and stuff like that. And I had a coach actually quite a while ago said, Nabil, I'm not going to say what she told me actually, because she has swear words. She said, nobody gives a about who you are and all your titles and stuff like that. It's your connection with them. I'm saying, what do you mean? I have, and she said, nobody gives a again. You can put, whatever you, and and it was really a wake up call for me in mid career to start realizing, oh, well, that's what it is. It's how I relate with people, how I make them feel, how I engage them, and how much to have an honest conversation with people and show that you genuinely care and you genuinely, have their interest at heart when you're trying to work together with them. And you're not to try to quote unquote lord over them or boss them around or expect them somehow. And I thought, isn't that amazing? And it really have in so many ways helped me so much in my Rotary world, and even in Rotary, I'm gonna tell you something is controversial. I have fired so many I have fired so many Rotarians from certain positions, and I'm still friends with them. But it's how you do it. Some were not good team players. Some really people I've have told people told me, if this person is in charge of this committee, we're not joining and we're quitting. And I'm thinking, oh gracious. So you engage them, you talk with them, you do this, and you find a way to say, thank you very much, and but you don't shame them, you don't humiliate them, you don't beat them up, you don't do this. But I remember one somebody told me, I don't know, I was that obnoxious. I said, well, it's again, here's how people, when they relate to you, they feel this way, it's not about the person, is how they made other people feel. And again and again and again. So even in Rotary, I always tell people we can, quote unquote, have people move from positions without having them quit, but at the same time, not to keep them in positions where they're alienating other people. but there's a process, there's a way to do it. And I think it's all about of how you communicate and how you engage with them in a constructive way. It's not easy, by the way. I'll never contend to you this was easy. It takes time and it takes energy. And I think sometimes you can reach out to people within the club outside of the district. You have resources in the district, even it goes really serious. District have access within our larger zone and RI, have different people they can bring in to help with these things. But please, what I beg you not to do is allow things to fester. This is the really the death of Rotary clubs. Honesty, I'm being truthful to you, is fester and somehow hope things will change on their own somehow, or somebody will just, you're gonna end up having by attrition, people leaving, and we're not. And by the way, did you know our problem in Rotary is not the problem of bringing people in. Overall, is about retention. Rotary has become a revolving door. We have people who have been around Rotary for a long time, and we have people who just simply come in and get out, come in and go. I mean, we're not retaining them, and this is something that we need to do. We need to do lots of soul searching about, and at the club level, this is not really at an RI level. They can have all the studies they want. With all due respect, I deal with these people all that. It's not about these big studies and who's. It's at the club level where things matter. Is at the club level. And of course the support from district and all of that. But really at the club level, it's very 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 critical for us to see. And I've always suggest to people to have exit interviews with people, and even if just somebody comes in, and sometimes they stay for a year or 2 years or 3 years and then kind of disappear. And we need to keep very, very, very diligent about this. Otherwise, we'll be all people in their 60s and 70s and 80s sitting around and going, "Oh, remember when?" And I think we need to keep newer people coming in. And newer, I remember didn't say younger, I said newer people coming in. We need to constantly have people coming in because that keep the blood flowing. It's not no, we don't get stagnation. And I think that's a big, 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 big part of it. And the last piece of it that I think it's really important for us is how we project ourselves to the community. Um, and I don't know, I mean, sometimes I went through phases with this myself, actually. You know, it's because the truth is sometimes I wasn't as thrilled with my club, so I didn't actually invite people to come to my club. That's the truth. But you're not gonna have any Rotary leader to come to confess to you to this, but I confess that I'm going, do I want I really had a couple of just sharp people, but I knew and I thought, oh, with all this stuff, I use other word with the crap we're dealing with, do I really wanna invite people to come? you know? And that is a horrible thing to say. But I think sometimes we need to make sure that our clubs are functioning well and to see it in a way that rather than keep saying, membership is number one. Our plan this year, we're gonna raise our membership by 50%. Well, good luck to you. If you want to raise membership, you need to work on the quote unquote the body, on the club itself and the dynamics within it. And I think make sure that we as Rotarians are proud of what we do, are proud of our clubs, are want to bring our friends and pals and colleagues to the club so they'll feel engaged. But if I'm gonna go there and I have to explain to them, just when you come in, just remember, um, uh, um, Grant is a bit he's rough around the edges. He's gonna come in and he just be careful with him and Michael, and I'm going, I don't want to go explain to people. We have had literally are were not very welcoming, for lack of a better term. So I've always have to make sure that we to have that as Rotarian, if we do that, because at the end of the day, it's like with anything else. If you're proud of something and you're comfortable with something and you feel like you're part of something that is positive and great, you want to invite people to. So when I'm really happy with the clubs I have been part of, I've always brought people. I always invite them. Or just come, it's if it's a lunch or a breakfast meeting, whatever it is, just, can we just, stop it? Let's come to my Rotary Club and we'll go and meet after that. And, you know, and it really, people kind of felt comfortable, and I felt very much connected. But in some years, but I've been part of Rotary for a long time, since 1994. So so it's not so it's not like, but I have had these periods of time that I really was questioning myself, do I want to bring people to the to my club? So that whole sense of it, of how we engage with one another, is very, very, very key element. So if you look at this, if we don't do any of this and we allow things to kind of fester and not address the issues. So my computer, something jumped here. Okay. And not address the issues as they come, as they happen. And if we are a people who genuinely um, care for each other and care about for each for care for each other, and make sure that we take care of everybody in our clubs, and make sure that our structures and our decision making process is inclusive and is inviting of people. And I think, yes, Rotary has hierarchies and all of that, but at the end of the day, that even is becoming less and less, and even within the structures. And I think we want to make sure that our clubs are viable, that our clubs are engaged, and our members are proud to be Rotarians, and they feel they can give of themselves without being unencumbered, without too many tight rules. Thou shalt do this, and thou shalt do that, and thou shalt do this. I think more and more, I'm seeing more people. For example, if you can't make it to the meeting every week or whatever, be part of a committee. Do something in the community. And that counts to your attendance. You don't have. Remember the olden days? I used to belong to a huge club that actually, if you came 2 minutes late, you got fined. If you did not come dressed with professional clothing and all of that, you got fined. If you did not, there's all of these, and it was kind of cutesy, but at the same time, it told you. I remember actually I was fined a number of times, especially in the summer when I came with a loose tie. People will come up to me and actually straighten my tie and pull it up like that and say, do this. And Nabil gets a fine of 50 cents. So it just gives you we have changed a lot, by the way. So I think and the whole idea as well, to be more and more, as much as we can. I know it's not always possible, but to be a reflection of our community, of who our members are, of what we do, and not be so in a sense, people will tell me, oh, we have a problem getting kids from school to be part of youth exchange, or we have this youth program, we have a hard time connecting with people. And I'm going, who do you have in your club? Well, I said, many of them are disconnected from the community. So if you're connected, you need to find connection to the community that you're serving, so that people will feel like they want to talk to you and engage you. And I think it's very, very much a key. So I'm the reason I always tell people, I'm all for, inclusion, for diversity, to grow our tent. It's strategic. It's not out of, I believe in it too, but at least it's not about for cause and all of that. And now it's for our survival. It really is. If we're not reflective of the communities we serve, this is going to be, and I don't want to be melodramatic, but I have to say, this will be our end, really, because at the end of the day, this is something that will give us more of a sense of survival. And remember, some of you here in the club, remember how exclusive Rotary was? No women, and I'm old enough to, to remember that, like no women, no women, no this, no this, no this. And it took a while. Unfortunately, it took like, a Supreme Court ruling to do this. And now, and I'll contend, I'm not trying to be cutesy here, but I don't, especially in North America, Rotary wouldn't survive without women. Period. No if, no but, no nothing, no whatever you call it. And I think we're going to get to a phase of saying we can't survive with being a more reflective of our community that we serve. And I think this had to be intentional. It doesn't have to be elitist. It doesn't have to be this or that. Yes, what people need to have, they need to share our common values. That's what I believe in. It's not about this or that or the other thing. Do you believe in fairness? Do you believe in friendship? Do you believe in, speaking the truth, in ethical leadership, in ethical engagement with people? Those are the things. If you share those values, please be part of us. But how tall or short and big and small and this or that, that is really immaterial to me. And I think this is one of those things we need to be conscious of. We need to engage with each other in an honest way about it and do something about it. It's not just about kind of thinking it. And many of us are wonderful people. We think this way, but how many of us actually engage, talk about, make decisions based on these things? And I think that goes again from members to leaders to senior leaders. And it's not something that I need. And I'll finish with this because Rotary Inter will, I said, well, they can fire me. I said, it should not be something that comes from up on top. I think it should come from the bottom up. I genuinely, if this test needs to work, it cannot be done by a dictate. If somebody said, thou shalt do this, I'm going, you know what? Rotarians don't do well with this, by the way. I have to tell you this. I've been around Rotary for a long time. Rotarians do not like to be told what to do. They really don't. And I genuinely can tell you this. So there's a term, it's theological term, but it's really me. It's called servant leadership. I think I always remind people, the higher up you go in Rotary, the more of a servant you are to people. It does not, and guess what? And it's always temporary. You understand? I had all these positions. They were always temporary. It's not for life. You have this. Your wonderful governor is here, Catherine. Guess what? Uno, 1 year. That's it. After that, thank you very much. Next, president 1 year, sometime maybe two, depending on the club dynamics. That's all. Rotary International president, 1 year. Director gets a bit more, a couple of years. But still, none of us is, and this is part of it, to the whole sense that we need to have that kind of servant leadership, but it starts at the club level. We need to be of service to one another. I think if we live that, we act on that, and we engage with each other, I think we accomplished our mandate as Rotarians to do good in the world. And if we do that, then yes, we'll have challenges, we'll have issues, we'll have personalities, and we have conflicts, and we have so and so disagree. We can deal with that. But there's a commonality amongst us that actually we need to work on and sustain. With that, I thank you very much. And I think that is my spiel, as we say.
Thank you, Nabil. Does anybody have any questions? We have a few minutes. If anyone has questions, I've muted you all.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did that. So, but unmute yourselves if you have a question and or comment, and we'll.
Yeah.
Morag, yeah, go ahead.
You're on mute.
Oh, you're on mute still, Morag. There. Oh. Try again.
Am I off?
You are.
You're on.
Ah, success.
Good.
Thank you so much for that. That's wonderful to have you with us tonight.
Thank you.
I belong to an exceptional club. I will make no bones about that. And I think anyone who has been to our club or worked with our club will tell you we genuinely care about each other and get along very well and keep a lot of the interpersonal stuff out for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Now, having said that, I am president-elect. So one of the reasons that I wanted to speak with you tonight and hear you speak tonight was I am looking for guidance to the two areas that I see as, I'm not going to say conflict because in our club there it isn't a conflict, but challenges. And the
Mhm.
first is, how do we align a membership who have such individual and distinct reasons for being Rotarians? We have about 60 members in our club, and if you went around the room, you would probably get 40 different reasons as to why people are members. I joined Rotary to do international work because that's what I'm passionate about. But there are many members who are just as passionate about local work. And how do we balance those two and marry those two? That's the first thing that I struggle with sometimes. And then the second thing is that Rotarians get things done. Rotary gets things done. But the reason we get things done is that we're all A-type personalities. So how do you capture that energy and that knowledge and that leadership that's sitting around the table when everyone often has very different perspectives on things, and they're all A-type personalities, and they're often have been leaders or
Yeah,
professionals or in their own businesses. So those are my two questions.
beautiful. Okay, you have 6 hours. We'll start one
Yeah.
by one. Um, one of your issue is not unique. I'm not saying it's in a sense, but this is very critical to have, not for the clubs not to get stuck with one of two projects and stick with them year after year after year after year, because what tends to happen is exactly that. People get bored and they think Morag does this international service, and every freaking year we have another country, another place to go, and we have all these community needs, and we're not paying attention. And because she has been around for a while, she's going to be the president next year. Can you imagine? She's going to take over everything. I really think clubs need to look at, like, I'm not 5 year plan is a bit too long for our memories are not that long, but have, like, and this is what continuity is very, very key between the present and the next one, to say next year we're gonna this year we'll focus on this, next year we're gonna do this, and we're gonna be working on this, so people have this anticipation that we're gonna have variety of things to work on and not get stuck. I've had clubs that have had programs they're so proud of, but they take over the club, because I don't know how big 60 is a healthy size club, actually. Lots of clubs I deal with, like in the 20s and 30s and stuff. I mean, once in a while we have 100 and something, but still they're smaller clubs. So when you can't really, I mean, if you have the same thing again and again and again. So I think to build in as part of the leadership, and then in a year you actually focusing on this, but start planning, have put some people on a planning committee for the next year or two, so they can actually get involved early, not they're sitting idly by. Because what they tend to do sometimes, with all due respect, they start criticizing what the other people are doing, because you spend all of this for this, because they just feel like they're racehorses. They sometimes they say if you keep them too long, and they start biting each other. So the idea, I mean, they don't bite, but at least they start critiquing the other, or giving opinions about things. I think the biggest thing in with the Rotarians, and I really appreciate what you brought about the type A personalities. I mean, I think it's I always I would tell people this. This is a trick of the trade, as we say. When I bring an issue to a club, or to a committee, or to whatever, I'll say it's this is for discussion purposes only. We're not making a decision. I just want to hear from you. That's it. So this is one. The next one, I'm bringing this to you for us to come up with a solution. We wanna come together to find a solution. The third one, I'm here to tell you of my decision. And I'm being serious. As a leader, sometimes you have to stand up and be counted. I can't come every freaking time and say, "Can we have a dis?" No, no. It's it's decided. We're gonna go on this because it's important. You have consulted. You have done whatever. Now it's a decision. So we're not gonna go again and go and into neighbor. But sometimes when we make a collective decision, I want to hear from people what's the feel of going in that direction. So perfect. We'll have a discussion. We'll have people are allowed to go on, and the brainstorming, or just say whatever the heck you want. But I'm not. I always, as my one of my judge friend used to always say, I'll take it under advisement, which means thank you for sharing. But if I don't do what you asked for, that's what I told you already. So you have these seriously have these distinctive things with people. It'll calm the waters. Because I did not, because people always think, you ask me what you want my opinion, you want me to advise you of the best decision for you as a president. I mean, of course you come to me because I know this subject more than you do, more than any of you do. I'm going, well, thank you for your service. Just give me an opinion, give me your perspective, and leave it with me. But if I need a decision, absolutely, well, but blocked enough time for that. But the other two, and sometimes you have to say, I've discussed it with people. I looked at this. I got advice from different people. I appreciate what you offered. We're going to be doing this starting Tuesday. Thank you. You know, and and many of them will respect you for it. I swear to you, because they're going, oh, I thought this more. I thought she was like, she has a backbone. I'm telling you, they will. Not everybody, but those ones who still the strong ones will go, yeah, okay, okay, and they trust you more even because they feel like, yes, you consulted, but at the end of the day, you're the leader, and the leader, you know, if they want to be president, put their name in and they'll be a leader in a couple of years. But
There we go.
thank you.
Thank you.
Marie.
Marie has a question.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, you're muted still.
Unmute, please.
Okay, there we go. Interesting conversation because I met with our incoming president this afternoon and we talked about many of the things that you discussed today. And the number one thing that I said to Camilla was we need to have our Rotarians respect us as volunteers. And I think that's one of the most important things. And I'm membership chair for our club and we discussed that and I said, and I was quite frank with our board last week that I said, in the 6 months of me being membership, I am the only one that has invited a member. And I said, my philosophy in terms of our clubs is every Rotarian is responsible for membership, not me as a membership chair. And I said, it's really difficult to be membership chair and we have 2 past district governors in our club and they've
sorry
a member, so it's very difficult. And I mean, we're an aging club, and I make no bones about that, but we're a great club. We're a dynamic club and we have lots going for us. But it's just getting those new members in the door to understand what a dynamic club we are. But I just really had a few laughs about many of the things you talked about tonight because we had talked about that this afternoon. You're bang on in terms of your presentation. I thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Now, did you just say that you're sorry that they have 2 past district governors in their club, Nabil?
No,
I did not say. Listen, I'm a past district governor, but sometimes
just clarify
it's very hard. Okay, here's the thing. Is if you have district governor in your club, sometimes it's very hard for them not to share or in my language, pontificate and say, and some people show you deference, and a lot of people going, they roll their eyes, oh, here's Nabil, open his mouth again. Now what? But I think it's a great thing, as play on their resources. But it's very, very key element that you just brought up, that membership is everybody else's business. The chair of a committee is a coordinator, a person who makes sure things happen and all of that, but it's not their job to go walk around and just gather people, bring people in. But as I said, it's and sometimes to challenge people. I'm sure lots of a club have what they call assembly days. You talk about club issues and stuff like that, and say, how do you feel about the club? How do you feel about bringing people in? And it could be somebody you play bridge with, or somebody you whatever you go for play hockey or whatever, or what, and just would you invite them? And if not, why not? What's the obstacle? What do you need? And I think just to do that, just to even ask people, because I think sometimes some people need a nudge, and some people just we become complacent, just going, oh, that's Marie's job this year. Good luck to her. Versus to say, but again, I don't want to guilt people. That's the last thing. I want to guilt them. I don't want to make them feel like they said, but if you know anybody, and offer your help to them. I think that's what we have done. If you have somebody, just invite them, and we'll take care of them. You don't have to do the follow up and all of that. We'll do just invite them over. Now the question: does your club pay for their whatever lunch or breakfast? Perfect. A lot of people would like the free breakfast or free lunch. Just invite them over. There's no commitment, and I think that could be a key. I mean, but I appreciate what you said. It's just that sense of like, you're only one who brings people, but that's not a it's not a recipe for success for the long term. But thank you, Marie.
Michael Atkins, did you have a question? You have unmuted. I didn't know if it was because you had a question or.
Well, this was a breath of fresh air.
Thank you.
This is like, you say you've been in Rotary for a long time. I'm going up on 47 years in Rotary.
Bless you. Wow. That's amazing.
And being old in Rotary is not anything wonderful. When I hear them say, we need to get younger Rotarians, we need to get women, we need to get this, we need to get that. What are you telling the people that aren't that? We don't need you. And you went through that. That was wonderful. One thing I think that you could add to the question that was asked, one of the answers would be, make sure the Rotarians know what you do in your club. Exactly. Like everybody thinks that Rotary gives 100% to the community or 100% to international. They don't. It's like when I was governor, there was 10 to 20% went international. And if people know that, it's all over the conflicts.
No, absolutely. That's a very good point.
So it's 8:07, which means we've already gone over by 7 minutes. But since we started 7 minutes late, I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
my apologies. Oh, he's Catherine. Whoosh. Yeah.
No, so thank you so much for coming and speaking with us tonight. It's really nice to just have a frank conversation about, these subjects that can sometimes be a little bit touchy. And I think you nailed it right on the head when you said that, we're all really passionate about what we're doing. And at the end of the day, we just need to remember that we're all passionate Rotarians, and we need to find a way to talk through those challenging conversations. So thanks for that. As Michael said, that breath of fresh air. It was really nice to just have this open conversation.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for being here. That's wonderful.
Thank you. And so I've recorded this session. So if you want to listen to it again, or you have other people in your club that would like to hear it, we'll be sending that link out in the next day or so once I remember how to save the recording and upload it somewhere else to share. So great. Well, thank you again, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for organizing it, Catherine.
My pleasure.
Have you found the stop button yet?
Yep. Jeff and I are just going to have a conversation.
Okay. I haven't found the stop button yet.
I'm going to stop recording. See you, Michael.
Bye-bye.